All right, guys, we have a very special treat for everyone out there in the world. Producer Griffin is joining us live to have a big fight with Saagar about Ben Affleck's comments on AI.
That's
Griffin,
right.
Thank you very much. We actually just tagged you in this morning because I felt you were more competent to make this case than I was, so thank you.
Yeah, me and Saagar normally fight before the shows, so it's good to do it on camera this time.
Yeah,
That's right.
absolutely.
People need to see behind the scenes. And if Griffin is not just some random dude. He literally is a former NYU film student. He lived in Hollywood. He worked on multiple movies. He's literally a film prodigy who at the age, what was it, 20 years old? He had a movie that went to Sundance. So he's not just somebody. He's actually,
that's right.
He really knows what he's
qualified.
talking about.
Absolutely.
And most importantly, I'm a member of the Ben Affleck fan club. I've seen the town over 10 times, and I'm a Dunkin' Donuts rewards member.
All right, so
I'm
that's
coming with love for Affleck.
Okay. Amazing, amazing. All right,
let's start.
Let's go ahead and get to the comments in question from Mr. Affleck that sparked this whole debate. Let's take a listen.
A bunch of actors that are completely recreated for this market or that market.
A, that's not possible now. B, will it be possible in the future? Highly unlikely. C, movies that will be one of the last things, if everything gets replaced, to be replaced by AI. AI can write you excellent imitative verse that sounds Elizabethan. It cannot write you Shakespeare. The function of having two actors or three or four actors in a room and the taste to discern and construct that is something that currently entirely eludes AI's capability, and I think will for a meaningful period of time. What AI is going to do is going to disintermediate the more laborious, less creative, and more costly aspects of filmmaking that will allow costs to be brought down, that will lower the barrier to entry, that will allow more voices to be heard, that will make it easier for the people who want to make Good Will Huntings to go out and make it. Look, AI is a craftsman. At best, craftsmen can learn to, make stickly furniture by sitting down next to somebody and seeing what their technique is and imitating. That's how large video models, large language models, basically work. A library of vectors of meaning and transformers that interpret context, right? But they're just cross-pollinating things that exist. Nothing new is created.
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet. And really, in order to do that, look. Craftsman is knowing how to work. Art is knowing when to stop. And I think knowing when to stop is going to be a very difficult thing for AI to learn because it's taste. And also lack of consistency, lack of controls, lack of quality. AI for this world of generative video is going to do key things more. I wouldn't like to be in the visual effects business. They're in trouble.
Griffin, Ben Affleck basically arguing there that AI in Hollywood will be a net benefit. It will lower costs, allow a sort of creative flourishing. What say you?
So it's complicated because he's right and he's wrong. I think that he is certainly overlooking the fact that he's like, oh, if you're in the visual effects business, you're in trouble. But if you're in the majority of the below line industry businesses, you're in trouble, whether it's being an editor, a sound mixer, the background extras, even some of the foreground actors are getting their likenesses stolen right now and repurposed for AI, and they're testing it right now mainly in commercials and stuff. I do think he's right in certain areas where it's it's going to give more freedom to individuals to create bigger things than they could on their own if someone wanted to create a Good Will Hunting. But I think the big elephant in the room he's forgetting is none of this is happening to improve art or give people more opportunities. It's for executives to make a few more million while they slash tens and thousands of film industry jobs over the next 10 to 15 years. And they're going to do it before the art is good, or if it ever gets good. They're going to do it now and serve you slop.
So I understand what you're saying, Griffin. I think that the counter is that this is technology. I mean, one of the examples that he gives, for example, is that House of the Dragon won't take 2 years. You can have a new season that will come out, but the scripts and all of that will remain creative. And I get, if it worked in the visual effects business, that sucks. But reducing, the economy of scale and making it so that the technology is easier could actually create more opportunities, first and foremost. But second, this is a technological inevitability. Like in the 1980s, the CGI effects and all that were terrible. They were very costly. Eventually, as they go down, then you were actually able to create a lot of new content, new roles and all of that are there. That doesn't mean I'm not sympathetic to a lot of the people who were, what was it, like Disney animation, right? A lot of it was hand-drawn, and then the Pixar revolution comes in and changes all of that. We still got great movies. Now, unfortunately, it did mean that thousands of people didn't have to sit there and hand draw, but that was, you know, physically it was very inefficient. So I didn't have a real problem with what he said, because what you were telling me is that a lot of people in Hollywood are very angry at him. But, you know, in a certain sense, it's like you're angry at technology. You're going to choose ultimately what is going to be the cheapest option. I thought it was a very insightful answer, because what it does show is that while the technology and the craft and the inputs themselves will reduce, that the actual creative inputs and what makes Hollywood and movies and content really so fantastic, that actually can't be programmed. So in a certain sense, I didn't think he was an AI doomer. I thought that it was a real optimistic way of how AI is just physically a tool and nothing is ever going to come and replace us.
So 2 points to there. So with like let's focus just on the video effects just for a second. So I use this example a lot, like of like the Marvel slop. Like Marvel movies continue to get worse and worse, but like technology is like getting better, but we continue to like funnel down to like the lowest common denominator because it's more money for the film executives. I use the example of Pirates of the Caribbean 2, Dead Man's Chest.
Yeah,
this is a very popular example online. An incredible film. There's a scene in the CGI of that. It's a 2006 film of Davy Jones. He's an octopus man and he's playing the piano with his tentacles. And it was 20 years ago and it looks better than any CGI you see today, which I think is an example of, well, yeah, technology can improve, but executives aren't using it to make better art. They're using it to make more money. Now, to your point about like, oh, individual creators can then like go and like make Good Will Hunting, and a director can be untethered from the production cost and all that stuff. And I do see that example, but for me, it's like, a lot of people think like the director can like make the whole movie, but like a Martin Scorsese movie is good, not just because Scorsese is good, but because he is, as the director, is channeling the talents, the experiences, and the art from real humans. All of these people on set. Should I frame the camera this way? Should we dolly it? Should we light these people? How are we doing their hair and makeup? These aren't all decisions just coming from Martin Scorsese's brain. He's channeling other people's like art and creativity, and I don't think we're going to see that with AI systems in the same way.
But I see that's actually a good example where Scorsese, the reason that Scorsese movies are great is because Scorsese does things his way. Tarantino, same way, in terms of his rejection and wants to do a lot of the stuff in real time. One of the reasons that Tom Cruise movies are so fantastic, because he insists on doing the stunts himself and making it as real as possible. That's what makes them outliers and what makes them fantastic. So great script, great acting, great visual effects. While yes, there's still gonna be a lot of Hollywood slop. I mean, I personally swore a blood oath that I was done with Marvel after Ant-Man and the Wasp, and I just said, I'm done. I'm done. You know, and it's
good
like I saw Shang-Chi. I came to a turn. I stuck with them. I stuck with them through WandaVision, through all the, and I just said, it's over.
You were a dead ender.
Yeah,
dead ender for sure.
Yeah, but it's one of those though where they did pay a cost, right? You know, they have had diminishing returns. While they certainly did make some money on those movies, their cultural cachet and Marvel Universe, etc., is going downhill. Whereas we've had major success of a lot of the films that you're talking about that bring the individual filmmakers' taste. So it will just be like a technological standard, but you know what makes great films, and the ability of people like Ridley Scott or any of these others to have some visual effects, but ultimately rely on the genius of their directing, the humanity, and also be able to compel studio funding, which is really what they're best at. They can get big budget films and direct it towards these resources. I still feel like that niche will always exist in Hollywood. It's just like the example he gave about House of the Dragon, that seems like the most apt one. And again, I get it. If you work in visual effects, it probably sucks. But you know, if you worked as a, I don't know, like a boom guy in the 1980s and your job eventually phased out, that's a little bit nature of the business too.
Yeah, but with House of the Dragon, like, it's not going to just be the video effects. It's going to be the scripts. It's going to be like the majority of the actors on screen. It's going to be even like they're going to start face tuning people so you don't need hair and makeup. You're going to need like all these different things that aren't just a cost, but but are a creative input that makes something that's unique, that actually is art, that touches the heart. I use the Netflix slop example a lot. If you go on Netflix right now, Netflix, to cut costs, has completely homogenized how they make film. That's why like every film you see on Netflix is called like Tall Girl, and they're all shot with the same camera and the same bland look. Everyone talks about why does things look like gray worm meal now?
Yeah.
It's because it's cheaper. It's because it's cheaper. It's not because it's better art or because the directors got to express themselves more. It's because it's more homogenized.
Well, you know, another example of that, Griffin, I think is YouTube Shorts. I banned my kids from watching them at all because
You're a good parent.
they are, I'm not a great parent, but on this one thing I did take a stand, because all they are is AI slop. That's it. Because that's what the economics makes sense for. So even if only 1 out of 100 like takes off or whatever, because they're all so shitty and so low quality, they cost nothing. So that seems to me the direction that this is ultimately going to go in. And I also question the idea, the premise of like, oh, now more independent creators, it'll be lower cost, et cetera. Using AI will be low cost for major studios because they have the technology suite and the licenses, because AI is already like a monopolistic business. So they'll have that technology suite. They'll have the resources to do all the things that you're talking about. Independent filmmakers are not going to have access to that level of technological capabilities.
That's a really interesting point. Yeah, that's a really interesting point. And let's even say they do. Okay, like let's say there's a program that you can sign up for that's $30 a month subscription fee, and you can make a whole world and like design everything. Why would any studio need to buy it from you or distribute it when they can just do it themselves? It's like, great, throw it up on YouTube and it gets 50 views. We're going to just make the exact same thing and not pay you because we don't need you, because everyone can do this now. So there's that element too. I want to give a little bit of like a devil's advocate to something Ben says, where like anyone can make Good Will Hunting. As an independent filmmaker, one of the things that has triggered me most over my career is a lot of articles saying, wow, with technology, like anyone can make a movie now. You can make a movie on an iPhone. That's bullshit. That's not true. You can shoot it on the iPhone, but then you're gonna need to spend $100,000 from somewhere to sound mix it, get it ready for a theater, do all that post. So like there are all these costs that make it so only rich kids really make independent film. When I produced indie film, it was never because someone had a good idea. It was because I knew a rich kid whose mommy and daddy were willing to give them $250,000 to like go shoot a film. So I think there is something there to like democratizing certain parts of it, but I don't think that that's what the executives are doing. I don't think that that's how they're going to try to control the system of delivery with all of it. And ultimately, I think it's going to continue to just like homogenize art and creativity. I think most of the movies that Saagar loves were not made with any AI. And I would be surprised if like 10 years later, Saagar's favorite movies are the AI ones versus the great films we've seen.
You're not wrong, Griffin. Right, you're absolutely not wrong. But here's the sad part: that Netflix slop, it exists for a reason. People watch it; they like it. I mean, let's put this up on the screen from The Atlantic. There's no longer any doubt that Hollywood writing is powering AI. They talk specifically here about how 85,000 TV episodes and 53,000 other movies were used by AI systems to be trained on writers' work to be able to fill in certain things, including every film nominated for Best Picture from 1950 to 2016, The Simpsons, every episode of The Wire, The Sopranos, Breaking Bad. Do I ever think that AI will be able to produce any of those shows or even incredible movies that I just listed? No. But there's a lot of people out there, unfortunately, Griffin, who like Outer Banks. I couldn't tell you what Outer Banks is about. I honestly, I couldn't tell you. If I looked at the Netflix top 10 TV shows right now, it is just straight shit, like every single one of them. But they're top 10 and they get hundreds of hours. If I recall, what was that movie with The Rock on Netflix? Was it Red Notice? That was a huge movie. People liked it. They actually liked it. I hate to say it. Hitman. There's another one. I didn't watch Hitman, but I know that was a big one. There was that was Gray Man. Decent. Okay, I haven't watched Gray Man. Is that Ryan Gosling?
But I don't think any of those films were made with AI. Those films were made by humans, and that's why you like them.
What I'm giving an example is that just generic replacement level film and TV on Netflix, people enjoy it. Even those crappy fake anime animated series that they do for children, which look horrible, but they're always like number 6, you know, number 8. Yeah. You and I are always going to be on HBO watching prestige television, but there's not a big market for it, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I do think you're right. I think it's a question of like, how do we continue to protect art, and if we value art, how do we protect it? That should be like the main goal of people like Ben Affleck talking about this, not like all the fun things you can do in the future with AI, but like how do we like protect and keep on making creative pictures that require humans, in my opinion, as opposed to just kind of letting things fly and seeing where things go next, because most of the stuff is slop. You're right. A lot of people watch it, and I think that the industry right now is kind of in a big evolution right now. You know, everyone went big into streaming. There was so much slop. And even back in the day, like if you turn on cable, 90% of the shows were bad. Yeah. You remember the 10% good ones, right? Yeah. But like ultimately, I think if you're a lover of film, if you're a lover of art, all of this AI stuff and the things that drive what they're developing it for, it seems to be anti-art and pro-slop. And I think that people like Affleck need to kind of do everything they can with their cachet of power to prevent that as long as possible.
Yeah, I mean, to me, there's a vibe from Affleck of like, well, I'm going to be fine. So it's like, yeah, you are, buddy.
He's on the lifeboat. Yeah, he's
you're good. But how about the rest? The other thing that, to me, gets to the core, that the disagreement that you guys are having is, you know, to me, art should have value outside of the ability to commodify it, outside of just like the market dynamics. And the move towards more and more AI and more slop undercuts art and just makes it about the, like, you know, capitalist market incentives. And I think that that is a loss. I think that's a loss for the country, for the culture, et cetera. That, as you said, Griffin, it's pro-slop and anti-art.
Well, I like it. Yeah. Can we all agree we need a Town 2, Griffin? Do we need a sequel?
Yes. We need a Town 2, a Chat GPT Town 2. I've got it right here. Yeah. It's great. The town is misspelled, and Ben Affleck has 3 eyes, but it's
You're
great.
Gonna love it.
People, we're gonna make money. We're making money, folks. And the biggest question. Here's the thing, executives, if you're listening, who's going to wait all the tables in LA if you fire all these people? That's the big question.
I guess robots also.
There's a big underground market. That's right. You're going to wipe out the entire service industry in Los Angeles.
Come on. I don't have any fresh towels in my Chateau Marmont hotel right now. What's going on? Thanks, AI.
They're going to live to regret it. That's right, Griffin.
Love it. Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show ad-free and in your inbox every morning, you can sign up at breakingpoints.com.
That's right. Get the full show, help support the future of independent media at breakingpoints.com.